All right, guys, fun day Friday. Get this place opened up. See, I know it's summer. I got the visor in the Tacoma. Get back here, let the Florida sunshine in, the most important door of all, project door. Thanks for being here. I hope you're having a great day, by the way. If you're new, I'm Jimmy in the dark, and we're making it work. What the heck happened to that? That's not where it goes. Close the door when it gets windy and the storms come. Kind of. Got a lot more stuff coming in for the truck. Still no patch panels, but stuff I ordered 4 weeks ago is coming in. Everything but the patch panels from CJ's Ponies Parts. Although they did send me an updated email saying more of my items are in stock now. So we're just a couple items away before they'll ship it all in one pallet truck freight. $400 in shipping, by the way. Anyway, let's do it. My bay has nothing in it, but that's gonna change in about 10 minutes. Stay tuned. The pile of goodies is getting bigger. Little sneak peek. Uh-oh. Can't give it all away yet. Joe did brake lines on the Buick. I'm doing cooler lines on the Lincoln. Oh, someone's really short and someone's really comfortable. One seat's laid all the way back and one's all the way up. Kind of crazy. Hey, you know what?
From London's Hyde Park.
Whatever makes you happy, that's what I say. Whatever makes you happy. First job of Friday. I sold this one, I think it was late last week, or was it early this week? I don't remember, but they had to order the cooler lines from the dealer because I told them I couldn't make them. They're part rubber, part metal. There's all kinds of crimps and cool stuff going on, so they did what like I asked them. They actually got them from the dealer. Amazing, isn't it? Well, I think they got them from the dealer. They ordered pre-made lines. Let's check it out and get into this one. Stay tuned. It's gonna get fun. Whew. Yeah, that's gonna have to cool a little while. This thing's about 230 degrees under here. I'm gonna let it sit a few minutes while I do something productive. Uh-oh. Gravity check. Well, that was intentional. You can't really. The phone's ringing. The phone is ringing. Someone, please. That is a problem. That's what we're here to remedy. Screws into the radiator like the old days. That should be easy. I have a tool for that. Thank goodness. I was somehow thinking that Lincoln was going to make me buy new tools, but they didn't. I'm very impressed. Thank you, Lincoln. Put it up here for safekeeping. Whoa, they got me forged stuff like I asked for. Look at that. Instead of spending 2 hours making stuff, spend 45 minutes an hour putting this in, and everybody wins. You know it's going to fit. Came from the people that made the vehicle in Mexico. I think it's in Mexico. Fabrique in Japan. Fabrique in Japan. Oh, it's all made in Japan. Wasn't expecting that. Fomoco. Doesn't say where that's made. Oh, you tricky little son gum. Oh, this one's made in Mexico. So the main line's made in Mexico. The small accessory lines are made in Japan. Nothing's made in America, is it? I know the steel table it's on was made in America. Yeah. Happy 4th of July, everybody. This is probably 4 days. This is coming up to Friday after 4th of July, but I hope you had a great weekend. Get this thing going the right direction. That's the one we need. Counterclockwise, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. My plan is to let these drain a little bit. You guys know that you work on these, if you work on cars for a living, even if you do a little side work. You ever mess with transmission lines and things like that? It's best to let them drip before you get in too deep. They usually only take about a week and a half to finish dripping. Alright, I was just kidding. I'm just going to let some of it drip out so I won't make a big mess on my head, and I'll just get a little bit down my arms. As expected, everybody wins. And that bolt doesn't want to come out by hand with the last 2 threads. Oil drain check. Oh, that's nice. Oh, look at that burnt up fluid. That's nice. That is nice. He's been driving it low on fluid. I said, don't drive it, leave it here while the lines come in. And we topped it up and he took it and it's low on fluid again. It's leaking pretty good. Personally, I wouldn't have drove it just because transmissions are expensive. But people got to do what they got to do. You got to get to work. But if that's the case, you should be checking the fluid every day. If you had a leak like this and you had to drive it, I mean, it wasn't like gushing out, but it was leaking pretty good. Leave a little puddle any way you stop. Anyway, let's let that drip a little bit. The hard part's going to be getting the fittings out of the radiator. This is just clipped into the fan shroud. Another nice thing about factory parts, comes with new clips on the lines. Freaking sweet. Got just enough room, get my personal assistant back here. Just enough room to loosen this line. That's not tight at all, really. But if I can just, oh, that's nice. I could just barely get my wrench to, I gotta flip it around to, the jaws offset a few degrees, I don't know, 12 degrees or so that you can flip the wrench over to get a different angle. So we'll work this one out, and then I'll let it down. I hope I can get to the top one that easy. I might have to take this clip off, separate the two lines to fish them in separately. It's either that or take a bunch of stuff out of the way. Well, I don't think the top one can get much easier than that. That one was a little tighter. I definitely think I'm gonna have to separate them so that I can snake it up around everything, and then I'll put the plastic clip back on, but at least this one I can do by hand. I had to turn the lower one out with the open end the whole entire way. I can't get my fingers on it. Might be difficult to get it started. We'll see what happens. We certainly will see what happens. I wonder if I can take this fan shroud out of my way. Might make it easier. I don't think it'll be too hard to do that either. Maybe we'll do that. I think the only way this sneaks out of here is separating the lines from the plastic holders, installing and removing them, and then I'll be able to snap them back into new plastic holders after I get them all out. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's terrible. Look at that mess. My goodness gracious. I don't think you can do this without getting messy. That is a tight squeeze. I loosened the wiring harness. That should help. I got it down past this AC line. I'm thinking if I go below and I turn it about 90 degrees, I might be able to slip it past the harness. We'll see. That's what we're going to try from below. Hung up on another AC line. Sometimes you got to force compliance. It's caught on something up top. I got to let it down to get it uncaught. And dirt keeps falling in my mouth. Goodness gracious. Hardest part of the whole job, getting it over those two AC lines. Show you guys better. Got to get over these two AC lines, and they kind of hold you up. I got the harness loose and all, so I think now I can get this threaded in here. Obviously not tighten it till I get the other one in, which will be entertaining in itself because I can't get my hand on the other one. Well, we'll figure something out. Now it looks like if I leave this line loose and I kind of turn it up a few degrees, I can sneak my chubby little mitt in there, and if I could just get a turn on that nut, I can do the rest with the open end like I did before. But I'm gonna put you guys back in my little studio holder, and we're gonna try it. You might see a lot of my back and my shiny head, but we'll do the best we can. Got it in there a little easier than I thought I would. Look at that thing. I don't want to brag. I don't want to brag. I got it in a lot of the way. It's probably only 3/4 of a turn from tight. That's why you never say something like I was tempted to say this other line. I was going to say the hard one's done, but I prevented the mechanic's curse. I didn't say it, I just thought it, and then I did the other line. Oh wait, I gotta do the other round. I shouldn't have spoke up yet. Let me come over here, snap that in. All right, look at this thing, huh? Look at this. I think it pays like 1.8 or so, and it's gonna take me an hour and a half, so I'll be good. I'm ahead of the game, not by much, but I still call it a win. Anytime you come out ahead, it's a win. A little close to this bracket, but it's kind of laying on top. It's only plastic, but just gotta pop this hose on here. Phone's ringing. Let me get a light. Now from the factory, they got these cool little pull tabs holding the clamps open. The slipper on there. Oh, geez, that feels nice. Now, perfect, and the clamp's kind of glued to the rubber a little bit, so just gotta tighten this one bracket, bolt, and snug up my fittings. This thing's done. Well, you know, plastic panels, Euro style. Then it'll be done. That's good. I'm gonna get too crazy with those. Just nice and snug, plus a little bit. When bolts are missing, I get one out of my toolbox. Car's gonna have more bolts in it than it came in with. The under tray was hanging down a lot. Now it's only hanging down a little. It's a win. Got some fluid in this thing. Now it's recording. All right, 3 tries. Something's happening. It'll probably say repairing my file soon. That's all right. My Canon camera was only $150 more than this GoPro, and it never does any of this stuff. Of course, I don't use it as much. I don't drop it, stuff like that with the like I do with the GoPro. But the GoPro was doing it since day one, and I had never dropped it at that point. It's been dropped about 3 times since then. It's acting like the vent might be restricted a little bit. It just bubbled out of the funnel. I got 3 quarts out of our bulk transmission fluid tank, Avalon. I'm gonna put 2 quarts in and check the fluid. Hey, nothing's pouring out underneath. That's cool. You really recording? Oh man. About a millimeter over the full line. That's fine. Let's take this thing for a drive. Alright guys, this Lincoln's all set. I'm backing into a parking space and deliver it to the customer. They'll be happy. He was thinking he needed a transmission. It was just 2.5 quarts low on fluid. So, oh, his floor mats are cool too, by the way. You guys, did I show you that yet? Outback. So it's a Lincoln Outback. On to the next car. You guys might remember this little Mazda 2. I've messed with the power windows last week. Had the door panels on and off and all that. And all of a sudden it started working. Couldn't duplicate the concern. I mentioned briefly in a conversation afterwards, it's something with the master switch most likely, because opening and closing the doors had no effect on it. Tugging on wire. But I said I can't be sure because I have to get it to do it again. If any of you mechanics out there know, that translates into selling a master switch. Not my diagnosis. Although I did mention it's probably the cause. I said I'm not sure. Here's the switch. That's what we're doing. We're putting it in. Wish me luck. Oh, got it. Your phone's ringing. Uh-oh, it went under the seat. What do I do now? That's terrible. The other off. Show you in real time how quick this door panel comes off without editing. Cover, 2 screws, speaker. It fell out of the housing. Cables. One to the lock, one to the handle. And switch. And this thing's out. Well, as easily as the door panel comes off, the switch doesn't come out that easily. There's 2 screws up here and a screw under here. So it looks like I got to disassemble the armrest to take the housing out to switch over the screw. Loudest safeties on earth. It's crazy how loud they are. Alright, let's keep taking screws out till we get to it. Uh-oh, that's not right. Shouldn't be too bad, I hope. We'll see. 2 screws in back, so you have to take the door panel off. Otherwise, this could clip out. And you could probably sneak the switch out of there. And usually when you have to do all these plastic clips on an older car, sometimes one of them will let go. I'll see how snug it feels putting it back in. If it's an issue, I'll use my soldering iron to weld it back together. And once you've unscrewed and unsnapped that, you turn the door panel back over and you find another screw that they hid in here. So it's a series of jigsaw type stuff. Getting the switch out of the door panel is going to take about 4 times as long as taking the door panel off the door. Ta-da! Now I can do the 3 screws for the switch assembly. Old switch assembly. New switch assembly. Rear button. Your safety is not even half as loud as Joe's is. Now this just kind of slips in the back. Got a couple little tabs. Makes it so you have to disassemble the door panel. They don't want you sneaking it out of there. That's how they roll. Once you put that back, then you can put this back. Yeah, that little broken tab won't matter. It's alright. Excuse me. What are you doing? What are you doing? There you go. Speaker. It's a big deal when it pops out of the housing. It just pops back in. 2 Phillips screws. This thing works. Hey, let's test it. See if it works. Key on. These foldy keys are awesome. And people love opening and closing them every time. Yay! It works at least as good as the other one did when I pulled it in. Get the air conditioning on. These foldy keys, don't fold them every single time you're going to use it, because they just wear out and they're really expensive. It's made to be folded when you're going to put it in your pocket. Not every single time you're going to start the car and turn it off, you don't fold it away. At least for me, I leave it out unless it's going to go in my pocket, because the car's only 8 years old. The key's broken. It's like 300 bucks or something probably. I don't know. Maybe it's cheaper. You guys tell me. All right, this customer's waiting. 2 Phillips screws. He's out. Remember that cover slid under the seat? It would be terrible to give this car back to the customer without it on there. So I gotta fish it out. Oh, look, a candy cane. You guys hungry? Come on. I'm gonna help this guy out and get some of the supplies they dropped under the seat out. What do you say? Be a good guy like that? Try to keep the rats to a minimum? Candy cane. Another candy cane. He likes candy canes. ID. Lottery ticket. Not a winning one. Now I'm gonna get what I went in here for. Look at that thing, huh? Blue Point. Got this on a Snap-on truck years ago. It's got a light on the tip, and you could turn it on with this little button here, but it goes dead after like a month because you always accidentally leave it on, and the battery will be dead by not like the next day. Just pops in like this. Done. All right. Next car. Well, you know, I usually get lots of brake jobs since I started my YouTube channel. This is a brake job, and it's been a while since I've done one. It's been all weird stuff. Let's just do I'm gonna do some brake pads on this thing. I'm sure it'll all come back to me once I start on it. Get a little dehydrated. These things are great. Ah, spilled some. That's terrible. Take you guys on a ride in a Milwaukee cam. Using my new gray pneumatic sockets. So far they've been great. It's a pretty light duty right, chill. Hot dog. Onto the lathe. Being blocked by a stud. There it is. Today's health tip too, don't do it that way. Like that would really suck. That's just a little tip. Not that I've ever done it, I'm just saying I've heard it happens. Not sure what happened here, but none of my business. None of my business what these guys do in their free time. I used to have a hard time remembering which one of these to turn. If you use the big truck side when it's facing up, the adjustment's on the right. If you use the little car side, when the adjustment's facing up, the adjustment's on the right. When you flip it over, it's always on the right. Some people don't like to put stuff away, so it's a common theme. Put these away. Now I can do my job. Now, I don't know if, must just be me, but I like everything in its place and some kind of organization. I think being a mechanic, you tend to, most people, I would think, have that mindset where you have to have some kind of organization to remember where things go and to not make too many mistakes and all that kind of thing. I prefer to relax these and kind of just leave them out of my way. That's another thing, it's just me. Chatterband, and they don't call it a chatterband because it likes to talk. They call it a chatterband because it helps reduce or change the frequency of the vibrations so you don't get squealing and chattering. Without this chatterband on there, the rotor will tend to vibrate while it's being machined, and when it vibrates the blade and causes a rough surface, and it makes weird noises when you're under braking and things like that. So very important not to let this thing sing while it's cutting. I hear a lot of people cutting rotors and you hear ring, 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 ring. That's a bad surface going into the rotor. That's what that prevents. You also got to make sure you don't machine down your lead weights. You got to keep it centered. Get these blades set. I'll do it that way. Now if there's a big lip out here, I'll come out and knock that lip down. Otherwise, when the machine does its first cut, it'll jam on that lip and slip the belt and cause problems. But this doesn't have much of a lip at all, so the machine will take that right off. Turn this all the way in. Set my blade depth, adding about 4 thousandths from zero where I zeroed it. Let me start the cut. Towards you is fast, away from you is slow. Start the first cut. Make sure we keep an eye on it. Make sure nothing weird's going to happen. It gets about a quarter of the way. Then I'll go back over towards the car and start working on the other side. Pretty good. Well, I think this Sunday I'm going to work on the bed a lot more. I'm going to try to get the guys to help me lift the bed off, and we'll probably set the bed underneath this car for now. And I'm going to disassemble the quarter panels and everything and try to, because these inner panels I need to do, they're way easier with the bed panels disassembled. And it's mostly all bolts. There's only a couple spot welds on each end. And then I think I'm going to order the wood kit. I found a really good deal on a pine wood kit. It's softer wood, but I really like the appearance of the grain in the pine a lot better. And then I'm just going to treat it all real dark. I don't know if I'll go black like they were from the factory, or I think they were like a real dark brown. I'm not sure what color I'm going to do yet, but I think I've decided on wood. But I got to have the bed off to do the cab corners and stuff anyway, and supposedly a lot of that stuff's really close to coming to me. Anyway, just thinking out loud while my rotor's turning. I want to show you guys some of the cool stuff I got for it later on in this video too. Now that I got a good rough surface in one cut, so that's good. So I'm going to do a slow cut now, really slight. I'm going to back this off a little bit again so it doesn't drag across the rotor on the way in. I'm going to go one line past 4 thousandths, a little bit less. So now it's going to basically take 2 thousandths off on a slow cut, just to finalize everything and make it real nice. The rough cut is a little aggressive, and it'll cause some wear in the pads. It might cause chatter because it's actually like a record player effect. So it actually can make the pads do that when they're braking because they want to follow the grooves. So you definitely need to do a slow cut and get a nice smooth finish. I'm not sure how good the blades are. They look okay. When they get dull, they cut like a butter knife. But if the blades are really good, this will almost have like a shiny, you can almost see my finger in the fast cut. In the slow cut, it almost looks like chrome. Not quite, but you get the idea. Always check your hardware. I find a lot of aftermarket hardware lately doesn't fit. So, it's not in bad shape. Anyway, I just got to clean it up. Oh, come on. Don't be like that. We'll just scrub this down a little bit, make it like new. The pads are right. The hardware's not. You don't want this stuff all over the place. Just need a little bit on there. Definitely don't want to squish it out on your rotor. I've already done the slides. A little bit of grease on the caliper contact points. That's pretty good surface right there. You see the reflection. That's how you know you got pretty good blades. Now you ruin the surface by putting a non-directional finish on. It helps reduce the chatter during seating the pads in. I always try to do it on the side away from the blades too. You never know if you're going to get your finger on something that's going to try to pull you into the blades. I mean, that's no fun. Nobody wants that. So try to stay away from the blades. Try to get most of the dust off with a rag. I've been to brake classes that say that's not satisfactory. You got to wash them with soap and water. But honestly, you're not washing your brakes with soap and water while you're going down the road. And the rotor wears with the pads, so it creates metal dust while it's all wearing out. So I'm not sure why they made such a big deal about it when I used to go to brake classes. And I asked the instructor that, and he looked at me like I was an idiot. And I said, have you ever seen BMW brake rotors when the pads are worn out? That's different. I said, well, what happens to that metal? It embeds in the pads. So anyway, this thing's ready. On to the other rotor. And some guys like to polish these hubs, make them look all beautiful and all. But I've always thought that if you start grinding and polishing in here, you're creating imperfections. These rotors go back on the hub the same way they came off because of the locating screws. So if you sand with this stuff and mess with it, I think you create more of a problem. But that's just my opinion. You guys tell me what you think in the comments. I'm going to start this turning, and while the rotor's turning on the slow cut, I'm going to go over and start putting the other side back together. And since that other rotor came out so nice in one cut, I'm going to take a chance, which this can bite you if you do it, but I'm going to try a slow cut first cut. And if it cuts the whole rotor across on both sides, I'm done. If it misses something, then I got to do a second one, which that's called the cut of shame. No thread lock. I don't know how the bolt stayed in the whole time. Always make sure you don't knot your hose up in a loop. It's got to be in a relaxed position so it doesn't get stressed. Never turn these nuts in by hand all the way so that they're against the wheel too. That way if you have any doubt whether you've ever used your impact gun, this is especially for people who don't like to torque the wheels all the time. If you have any doubt whether you used your impact gun to tighten them or not, you just go by and you know you haven't tightened it, right? Torque wrench time. Fast and furious, bro. Although in their defense, the cars never sounded that crappy. But keep in mind, if you put your torque wrench on those nuts and your torque wrench goes click, 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 click and never turns the nut, you're not torquing the wheels. You're torquing the wheels if you bring them close and then finish it with a torque wrench and the nut turns just a couple degrees to get to spec, then you've properly torqued the wheels. If you just bounce your torque wrench on all the nuts, you didn't torque them, you just made sure they were over tightened. 06 Volkswagen Jetta body shop alignment. I got like 5 more of them to do today, so let me close out the day on alignments. See what happens. There you go. This thing needs a little rear toe. This thing needs a little front toe. And then we're gonna let her go. Let's do it. All right, we gotta set the, ooh, look at that. You gotta love them New York cars. I love New York, because I do body work. That's what everyone sings. I love New York because of the body work I get. Anyway, not horsing around. I don't know if these are going to loosen. Let's find out. It's a 17 or an 18. I'm guessing it's an 18. I brought both. Uh-oh. Can't believe that thing's actually turning. All right, that one's green. See if that'll help. Nope. Ain't that something? A rusty car from my old stomping ground. Goodness gracious. I do not miss this stuff. Did I mention that before? Jeez. Well, look, I bumped it. I got 0.02 of a degree. You guys see that up there? I'll try to crop it in. Turn green. I got just enough movement. It was 0.2 negative and red. Now it's 0.00 and it flashes to 0.1 and stays green. On to the front. I'll take it. This rusty monstrosity is making things a lot tougher than they normally would be down here. So I'm catching my breath a little bit from the workout. I'm going to set this front toe and it's out of here. Vamonos. This front toe is like, what rust? I don't have a problem. What are you complaining about? Big crybaby. Look how easy that is. No such thing as rust up here in the front. Sold! Let's get this thing out of here. Print us some copies. Look at that. What a monstrosity. New York! How many times you gotta hit print? I don't know. I'll just keep hitting it until something happens. There you go. On to the next car. If it don't dodge, ram it. Or fix it. One or the other. Just a wheel alignment though. I can't really complain too much about this because everyone has accidents no matter what brand your car is, right? Body shop said the steering's way off. We had the steering column out of it, just so you know. This vehicle may be subjected to a recall. Under no circumstances should a weld from a recall repair be removed for any reason, including to perform an alignment. Removing the weld would remove a safety recall remedy that is currently in place, which would cause a serious safety issue. To adjust tow in a vehicle with a welded drag link, choose select steering type on the second tiered keys, then select one tie rod option. For more information, reference this TSB. Monster truck, barely fit on the rack. I bet you I'm gonna have to move the steering column. That's just my hunch. Let's see. Good news is it doesn't have a welded sleeve. Yay! The bad news is it's got a lot of new parts and it's way out of whack. Let's see what we can do if they did that in the front end of the steering column. I don't know yet. I got my special Dodge tie rod end adjustment tool, also known as Nipex water pump pliers. I got my specialty Dodge crescent wrench, and I got my specialty Dodge ratcheting wrench. All ready to go. All right, none of what I just said is true, but it's funny. This is a tricky little guy. It turns the threads inside here and it turns the threads on inside here. So the one nut does two adjustments. But it also drags the other side along with it and makes it a gigantic pain in the patootie to align these things. So when I get close, I have to have someone up in the truck with the engine running, constantly centering the steering wheel while I try to manipulate both tie rod ends and keep the steering wheel straight at the same time. It's a great design. You can hear it in my voice how much I love it. I got one green. When I started adjusting this was at 0.45, so it changed 0.2. So now we're trying to correct that side. And to do that, you got a totally different type of fastener, because they didn't want to put two of these on there, put one up here and make it easy. So now you got to get your giant wrenches out, aka crescent wrench, and play with that a little while. And then when I do that, it's going to change that adjustment. I'll have to come back to that. And that's right around when I get a helper to go up in the driver's seat. You guys want to see what's happening with the machine while you adjust the one setting? See how it's pulling the other side with it? So you'll have to go back and forth about, I don't know, 17, 18 times to get it right. Or you get you a helper up in the driver's seat. All right, my assistant and I have corrected the steering 3 or 4 times, and when you see green, you go for it. I'm going to see if they want to adjust this. You have to change to an offset ball joint to do the camber. So we're going to print what we have and go up front and see what the body shop wants to do with the camber. Last one for today. Toyota Avalon, 2011. Well, that's not good. I hope they're going to at least re-clear that headlight. It's terrible. This is one of the only Toyotas I don't like. To me, the Avalons are really expensive. It just looks like a big giant Corolla. I don't know what the attraction is, except that people think it's their flagship sedan or whatever. But I'd just buy a Lexus if I was going to buy that big Toyota. I'd rather have a low-end Lexus than a high-end Toyota, if that makes any sense. Anyway, let's do a quick alignment on this thing, try to knock it out. I want to lift the bed off my truck today. I'm trying to get the Indians rounded up for that, but no one's really seemed to listen. I pushed off, knucklehead. This thing has seen better days. It does have like 190,000 miles on it though, so today was a pretty good day. I only had to pull the battery out of the GoPro 4 times to reset it. Pretty good. Some days it's 6 or 8, 10 times. Sometimes it makes it look like it's recording, it's not. And sometimes when it is recording, the screen's blank and I'll go to shut it off and it'll say repairing file. Anywho, that right front camber's not very good. That's terrible. And I'll say, looking at that visually, that camber reading is accurate. It's definitely knocked in. I think this has a 2-bolt strut. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. Not only does it have a 2-bolt strut, it's got a new 2-bolt strut. New arm, new ball joint, new sway bar links. So this is apparently where it was whacked. Hopefully if I take some weight off the front end, loosen those bolts, I'll be able to bump the wheel out. I hear the camera doing all kinds of noise. I don't know if it's recording or not. You recording? You change that bolt out, take out about 1 degree of camber in the front, and if I tighten it up and it stays there, it's like butter. Try to get a little toe in that left rear. Let's see if we can do it. I think it's 7/8 turnbuckle back there. Yeah. Alright, there you are. Let's see how you are. A little toe in, gotta lengthen the tie rod. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness, I wish you guys could see that right now. It's alright, I'll show you. Don't worry. Settle down. Settle down. That's perfect. Stop. I don't want any more. There you go. That was perfect, you know. Now it's not. These turnbuckles love to turn while you're tightening. So, there you go. It's perfect. That's alignment speak for green. Meanie greenie. The dance was nice. I do not like another. That's enough dancing for today. You're out of here, Avalon. I think that's about through. It's almost ready to come off of there. And it is way too late, guys. I've been messing with this truck. I'm gonna close the shop up and head home. I appreciate you watching this video. Make sure you torque that like button at the bottom of the screen and maybe subscribe. I hope I see you in the next video. You're awesome.